What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? Hey, you know what it is, man. I'm tired of having to tell y'all every week how good it feels to come here on the Friday night because it's the end of the week. But just because I feel like some of y'all just want to hear me repeat myself. What up, though?
What up,
Another Friday night here at the quarantine, and I'm gonna do this first. And you're watching the quarantine live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz TV, the coolest station in the world, and I got that out first. So y'all ain't got to worry about me coming back to it in like 3 minutes. Anyway, I'm never alone. If it ain't got out here, I got beautiful people in here with me, so I'm going to start here.
Hello. Thank you, everyone. I'm Ross and M. Ogburn, and am your candidate to be your next state representative for 9th House District, or 15. We'll talk about that later. And thank you for tuning in with us, and I'll pass it over to our amazing and beautiful Henrietta.
See, now I don't even know what camera I'm looking at, but I'm going to turn around.
We're going somewhere. We just getting it in.
Good evening, Detroit. I am Henrietta Ivy, your home care advocate and activist. We're sitting in here tonight with the quarantine with the crew.
All right. So, I know last week we had a situation at the end of the show where Miss Henrietta here was giving some probably valuable information.
Yes, very valuable.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got to drop this back to her before we get to the ride spot, because guess what? Y'all don't want to hear from me all night, right? That's
Sure we do. Why not? You give good nuggets.
She must be going to give me some campaign fundraising. Anyway, I ain't gonna, Oh, wait, anyway, go ahead, drop that tidbit in.
So listen, everybody. If you are a driver who had your license suspended for non-violent offenses like DUIs or anything that would have caused some type of a hazard on the road, you can now get your license back. You can now come out of suspension. Secretary of State have a program going on where you can go and have your license revoked back to you. The website is sos.gov. So check it out. Go in there. See if you qualify for your license to be unsuspended. It's a great program. I think everybody needs to check it out. There were over 75,000 people who had their license suspended for parking tickets and stuff like speeding, but not speeding and causing any type of infraction like accidents. So go check that out. If you check me out on Facebook, I will post it up on my Facebook page.
All right. Thank you, Henrietta.
No, wait a minute. Not to cut you off. Are you sure that was it?
That's it for now. I mean,
All
we'll get to the
stuff
things.
you got in that folder, that was it.
You know what? This is totally different. This is some stuff that I was going to talk to Roz about and interact with her with about.
As we're going to talk about
redistricting.
Because, we getting in on that.
Like some secret meeting?
No,
we're going to do it. We're going to get it right tonight.
Here
on the show.
Yes, actually, that's what I'm going to actually start off with my Rosa report. So thank you for that intro, sir.
All right,
to say what's deep into her files, ladies and gentlemen.
I just need to know because I don't want to cut anybody's time off of anything while they're on this
you
show.
are fine. You're doing great. He's doing great, Josh. He's doing great.
You said I'm fine?
Yes, you are.
I don't think so, but thank you. I just think I'm.
And we got jokes on the show, y'all. Just to let you know.
You got more than jokes. And again, man, when you tune in here.
Come on, tell it.
We don't just sit here and tell you all the bad and doom and gloomy stuff that happens all the time. Because guess what? Life is about more than just being sad all day long. I can't do that, and you shouldn't do it either. Amen. So to those people out there that do have shows like that, hey, more power to you. That ain't what's happening here. It's a Friday night. It's time to relax, release. What was that shit Willie Gilbert said? Relax, relate, release. Back in the old days.
Relax, relate, release.
Yeah. So that's what you're going to do here when you come and tune into this show. Relax, relate, release.
As we talk about hot topics and important facts and information.
All of the above. With that being said, obviously she ready and she turned up tonight. So
I'm ready.
We going to pass this over to who? Miss Rising for the Rise Spot. Take it away.
Thank you, Dre. And I just want to say thank you and hello to everyone on our Facebook streams, YouTube, and our Twitter live audience. You could have been anywhere else this Friday night, but you chose to tune in with us, and we say thank you. And make sure you want to have any comments. We want you to put it in the chat. Make sure you share, and just make sure you like this page. All right, we got to go straight in. Redistricting maps are in. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that again. The redistricting map, quote, samples are in.
Okay.
And so what that means is that for the last, I do believe, almost 9 months, that the whole country and different states have been redrawing their Senate, congressional, and their state house maps, right? And the last 3 days they put in for Michigan State House new drawing lines for their sample district. Dum, dum, dum. Okay, so I was talking about ninth house. So the new projected house is 15 for me. And then also, it looks like a puzzle piece, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it looks like the puzzle piece. So you saying, why am I bringing this to y'all attention? Because I'm going to need you to go onto your Redistricting Commission page, which is located on the State of Michigan page. I'm going to drop that in our link. We need you all to get informed, get educated, see what your new lines and boundaries look like and what your new number will be, right? And so also, you get to still make your comments. If you go in there, you actually see my comment kind of still posted up at the top, made a little few. And so, but what I had a problem, I think I was telling Henrietta within the last month, of trying to go back in and cut a new map sample myself. So guess what I did, ladies and gentlemen? With these sample maps that are already created, I took a screenshot. You know how you can edit something and get the little pen?
Yeah.
And then I drew my own lines right in there and sent it up to the state like that, because they let you upload your information.
Yeah.
So you guys can still send in your drawing lines along with your comments on where your Pacific boundaries want to be. And the reality is, why don't we want certain lines to be to expound? Because you're separating communities. You have Pacific block clubs that consistently work together and do community projects and programs. But when you draw the lines and you separate them, you're going to separate who represents them and the unity that they had, and the camaraderie that they had already existed.
Absolutely.
And so this is what we want to do. We understand that it's supposed to be bringing diversity, right?
Right.
It's supposed to be able to have a form of extracting of any racial tensions of any sort, but the lines don't do that. People make those choices.
That's right. That's right.
The drawing them lines are not going to separate a certain mindset.
Right.
So we must be honest about that. But I feel like our residents have to be at the table, because what we realized, the COIs were coming from other counties concerning Wayne County.
Yep.
So Wayne County, it is time to step up. Get your comments put in. Look and see what those maps look like. Look and see what your new number is. And get engaged, because we still have a time frame, ladies and gentlemen. And it's so important to have our conversation towards this, because this is real. It's here, right? And it's going to be put in place, and we want to get more engaged. So if you, like we say, we know that our Congresswoman, my Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, has been very aggressive to let us know we want to express. Don't separate our communities. Let's work together. But first, we must get educated. So when I finish the Rising Report, I am going to drop in the link so you guys can see it. And then last but not least, we're less than 30 days from voting.
30 days, less than 30 days.
Less than 30 days.
18 days in?
Yes. Now, I'm just going to say this. For those who had already voted, I'm not talking to you. For those that already dropped their ballot, I'm not talking to you. Right? But for those that do not have a voting plan and have not voted yet, or not even registered to vote, we want to go there.
We want to talk to those folks.
Yeah, because you still can register to vote. You got to October 29th to register to vote. Then you can still
also on the day of
election go. And then we got satellite locations.
And we got satellite.
Yep. At WC3, your local community college has a way that you can just walk in and go ahead and get your voice heard. And the reason why we want to push this is because without having your voice heard and you telling somebody else what's going on with your city, you just complaining. But when you go into that ballot box, you actually making a difference, because one household can shift a whole election. Right?
That's right.
We know for Cynthia A. Johnson, she had an election. It was 6 people that she
took
lost
it to
from.
She took it to the winning point.
That she took to the winning point. That shifted from that. And then I was going to say, my sister Rebecca Thompson. It was 6 people that she lost from, right? So you see the win on one hand and the loss on the other. So never underestimate your vote. I just want to put that out there. Make your voting plan today And our youth, 18, 19, 20, 21, get out there and vote. We know you on the gram. We know you out here. Get your voice heard.
Right.
We
Get
need
your people.
Come on.
Get your
out
people.
there.
Wait a minute. Now, let me
Get
ask
your
you
people.
this. I hear you loud and clear. But if a kid only knows the gram and don't know who's the elected official, if the elected official ain't in their face saying, hey.
That's true.
You know, why aren't some of these elected officials back in these high schools? I understand that DPS and whatever, but guess what? A while ago, Mary Sheffield was all up and through these high schools with rap artists, and
Absolutely.
activists, and all kind of stuff. So again, if the elected officials and or candidates aren't making it a full thing to go after juniors and seniors, to activate them to let them know, guess what? It's about to be your time. Who's the fool? You can't really blame them because they're product of their environment.
True.
Absolutely. So we must put that, you see that, elected officials, those running, we got to get in the spaces where the youth is at because they're a crucial vote too.
That's right.
I pass it back over to you, Grace. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, you are watching the Quarantine live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media. Wait, let me try this like this. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Quarantine live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Nah. Okay, now that we got that BS out the way. So,
All right.
without further ado, I don't know if he's here.
Yeah,
we can step out and see real quick.
Yes.
But if he is
Ladies and
here,
gentlemen, we got a great
are
guest.
supposed to have a guest come in tonight. Candidate
Fred
Durhal.
Are you out there, sir? All right.
Yes, there he is.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Let me slide over so you can
Okay.
sit on this side of the seat. Make it
Awesome,
easy for you.
awesome.
I appreciate
Yes,
you
good
guys
to see
invited me.
you.
I'm glad to be
Yes,
here.
yes.
I hear this is the hot seat. This is the place to be.
It's the place to be.
We're trying to do a little something.
That's a good thing.
So,
Yes.
well, since
Giving
you are here,
opportunities for our community to hear real people talk about some
yes,
real
sir,
stuff.
Yes.
So that's good.
Well, again, thank you for coming, and I'll let you introduce yourself to everybody.
Yes.
So my name is Fred Durhal. I am a former state representative. Served 2 terms in the Michigan House of Representatives, and my first term served as the Assistant Democratic Leader of the House, making me the second-ranking Democrat in the state at that time in the House. And then in my second term, served as the Minority Vice Chair of the House Appropriations Committee. So sat over a $64 billion budget. And in that time, we were able to do some great things, brought close to $800 million back to the city for police, fire, EMS, and city services in the form of our revenue sharing, making sure it was protected and not cut. You know, that's one thing Republicans always tried to attack in Detroit. But also did some great things for the community. $100,000 for local community groups so they can do
Just
the
to let you know, the
cleanups
camera's
and
there,
the
too.
patrols and everything. I know I people in TV land, hello. But you know, some of those great things, and just have been fortunate to be able to deliver to our city. And so now I'm running for Detroit City Council in District 7. And we are pushing very hard. We came first in the primary election, but we take nothing for granted. So we got about a little bit under 4 weeks, and so we are pushing. We are pushing very hard.
All right. Well, I'm going to be a man tonight and let the ladies question first because I was rude last week. Look, y'all forgive me for my rudeness last week.
No, you're
But,
fine.
so-
You're doing a great job, Jack.
Yes.
You're good.
But me and you beefing though. But
I know.
that's a whole
I
nother
already
show.
know. I already know.
But so either one of y'all want to take it first? Well, first off, I hate to say it, she's the District 7 resident. She got to go first. Go ahead.
Okay,
do your
well,
thing.
of course. We let the voters
Well,
speak.
thank you very much, guys. Yes, he is a candidate for my city council representation, which we currently have no representations for those that don't know. But I want to give a shout out to those that are on our Facebook Live. We got Miss Judy Neal tapping in, Miss Erica Murray, Mr. Dennis Bryan in it, and I think that's Vito tapping in. Thank you, Vito.
Oh, and y'all can put y'all questions in the live chat too.
There
if you
we
got
go.
Questions. So.
Thank you. Yes. So get ready so we can, make sure Mr. Fred get some good questions for those representation that are in D7, and I do see a few that else has popped on that are on.
Yeah, the superstar. Yeah, Miss Erica Murray in there who,
Yes,
who
yes.
I would like to
yes.
send a shout out to. Who,
Yes, yes.
was in the primary election. Who
Did a
Absolutely.
fabulous
did a
job.
fabulous job and addressed some great issues. So shout outs to her.
Yes,
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 yes.
Miss
You know
Erica.
what? See, why you gotta see? Now I gotta ask. You. See, I was trying to let you
Go
go
ahead,
first, but now
no. I had to give a shout out to my peeps,
I'll
right?
let her
That's
get back
right.
to
Let
it,
them
but
know.
I'm a big person on. I ain't gonna say building gangs or nothing like that, 'cause that ain't what I'm talking about. But even in
Yeah.
a situation, you know, like Erica.
Yeah.
I can't speak for nobody else of what they should do, but I just think that sometimes, in a situation like that, how do you feel about bringing somebody like that on, you know, to your staff? Because if you're elected, because of the simple fact she has certain relationships and she can bring certain things to the table. I'm big on relationship building because I believe it builds a better community. But with that being said, you running, not me. So how do you feel about that?
First, I don't ever put the cart before the horse. I'm not there yet, so
Yes,
I
sir.
can't
Yes, sir.
obviously make staffing decisions. But what I will say is, as I pledged in the first half of the campaign, is that, you know, I'm willing to work with all, you know, who were running. I reached out to every single candidate in the primary election who didn't make it through, and tried to extend my hand and even just have those discussions with them about their platform. You know, I think sometimes in campaigns it gets, you know, misunderstood that we all hate each other, right? No, we just have differences of opinions. We all care about, well, hopefully all of us do, care about the city of Detroit. I think we just have a different method on how we want to get things done. So even talked to Miss Murray prior to that and told her, you know, I really love to work with her. She's strong on domestic violence issues as well. When I served in the Michigan House, I sponsored and co-sponsored a lot of the domestic violence legislation that we had coming through. And so she's been a strong advocate and for other things in our community as well. So, you know, I'm into building partnerships. Listen, it's going to take all of us to rebuild this city, and particularly District 7. As I like to say, we're going to rebuild it block by block, but that's going to take all of us, and I understand that.
Okay. Yes, I am playing chess, ladies and gentlemen. November 5th, I got something to say. But go ahead. There you go.
Okay, so my question, of course, I was going to think about a property, of course, question, but I'll let our viewers to tap in on that. My question would be towards the environmental issues. First of all, we realize we're having layers of trauma environmental, not just the floods, not just the basements bagging up, but also with the air contaminants. Now, one would say, hold on, now y'all not 48217. But what we've identified off of Warren and Joy is that there has been a high level of infiltration of, you already know. I'm about to go through them. And I'm not want to just say dumping sites because they're actually car towing locations that belong to the city to some extent, right? And then we got another expansion. But I didn't know the largest main ones was in our district. I just found that out.
Right.
I got to give it up to Bobby Johnson. She uplifted that to me about both of those sites belonging to the city of Detroit, right? But then also, like I said, off of Warren, we have a lot of car industries. And no one is regulating on them how they're dispelling oils, and no one is citing them to even make sure that they're real companies. Right. And so that would be my conversation. It's a two-part. One, the environmental on our health capacity. Because a lot of people don't know, as environmentalists, we get apps that show us the air quality. So the normal air quality, and we would say, oh, really? It sounds real crazy. But in Detroit, our normal air quality is from 8 to 12. And that is a cancerous level. Right? In my area, if you're not by lots, you're between 11 and 12.
Yes, she is campaigning.
So, no, this is the environmentalist. I am in your Michigan Democratic Party 13th Congressional Environmentalist also. And I am the Sierra Club State Rep. Don't let me run that. So, but understanding new levels of impact air-wise. That's what was being really brought to me to new leaders when I started to talk to them. That's a city council issue.
It is.
Why are those contracts or RFPs or requests for new companies being able to be established and nobody's reviewing that.
Right.
Nah, you like that's past. That's not nothing to do with me.
No, I'm not saying
But
that.
no, I'm
I
just
think
going.
it-
I'm talking about the
think it-
present.
yeah.
But what would you do as you move forward? We know you're not by yourself.
Right.
But what do you see yourself aggressively looking at that capacity, and what do you see yourself doing?
Well, first, I mean, obviously, I would say that that the dealing with the air quality in the city of Detroit is huge. You know, I represented the 5th House District in Michigan, which 48217 fell under, which is one of the most polluted areas within the city of Detroit and in the state of Michigan, frankly. It sits right outside of Marathon Oil. So I always tell this story just to give you a little bit of background. I remember my first time campaigning for state rep, I was knocking doors down there. And, you know, right when you get off of like Fort and Schaefer, that's that area right in there. You got Beatrice, you got Deacon, right? You got all these streets over there, right? And so I'm knocking doors, and it was about 100 degrees that day. And I'm like, man, the air is really thick. It is hard to breathe down here. And every door I knocked on, somebody came to the door with a respirator or had a breathing problem, and they mentioned that. And I'm saying, wow, like this is like one of those movies you watch, right? Like a civil action, or I think that was the name of it, where folks had environmental issues. And so that kind of led me to first, soon as I got elected to the state house, I had a discussion with Marathon, and I think even around that time, the city was looking into the emissions and requiring stronger emission standards for corporations or industrial businesses that are within the city of Detroit. To answer your question, you know, I think, you know, Detroit has tons of ordinances. I think the problem becomes is that we don't enforce them. And so, you know, I'm not going to be into recreating the wheel, but I am going to be into, you know, creating a mechanism to ensure that we enforce these ordinances that we already have. And, you know, one of that, and it's ironic, but introducing an ordinance that requires reporting, though. And something that's on a quarterly basis that not only goes to city government, but the community. So you don't have to submit a FOIA, right? So you have access, so you know what is going on in regards to, you know, environmental issues in your area. And second is obviously to do an inventory. We've got to go around and we've got to look at these businesses. You know, folks, we talk about taxes. If there are folks operating and we don't know what those businesses are, that means they're not paying taxes. That means we're not getting any revenue from that, which means we can't put that money into city services, right? But furthermore, they won't be held to the standards, nor do they feel like they need to be held to those standards because nobody knows they exist. So they may, you know, take the oil from a car and doing an oil change and dump it somewhere that we don't know, and that has a devastating effect on our community. And so I will be really aggressive on that. You know, I urge folks, you know, you're with the Sierra Club. I pretty much got 100% Sierra Club voting record as a state representative. And been very, you know, right there on environmental issues because I understand how it's going to affect not only the future of adults, but more importantly, our children here in our city.
There we go. All right. Thank you. And I'll pass it over to Henrietta.
Well, you know, just welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, go guys,
I saw
to
you
be
doing
seen.
the election.
Yes,
we
ma'am.
talked, and
Yes, ma'am.
just want to say, you know, as a activist in the community, fighting for wages.
Yes.
And I know City Council don't have anything to do on that level, but advocating with us would definitely give us a push toward the implementations we're trying to get to happen. Would you be willing to stand with some of these home care workers and child care workers and fast food workers, just, you know, pushing us to that legislative finish line to get these needs that we want met in changing wages and trying to get the right to work turned over? Because I know during the time in your tenure with the state, we had that right to work issue.
We did.
How do we fix that?
So you know, first to answer your question, I will be standing. I actually be standing with you guys tomorrow at about 9:45 because I am proud to be endorsed by SEIU.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And I will be with them tomorrow pretty much all day.
Okay.
So I'm thankful for their endorsement and working close. I've always been a proponent of the fight for 15, and now that's actually higher. You know, based on the rate of inflation, $15 an hour is not necessarily a living wage. So you know, I've always wanted to push forward and ensure that we have a living wage so people can support their families, so they don't face eviction, so they can pay their rent, so their houses, you know, don't go into foreclosure, so they can pay their astronomical water bills, right? So you know, I will stand for that. I will push, and I do think that even here on the city level, there it's not state law. However, there are some things that we can do. Folks forget that most government is local. And so if our practices are reflective of policies that we want to see on the state level, that makes a push to the state level and lets folks know there's an appetite for that type of legislation. So we've got to, ensure that we're paying people at least $15 an hour here in the city of Detroit. And not only that, working with our businesses to, kind of set that same standard. And to be honest, you're kind of seeing it now, not by will of some of these businesses, but you're seeing it because if you roll up to a Burger King or a McDonald's now, they're saying we're hiring people $14-15 an hour because they need people now.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if you can do it when you need people, you can do it when you feel like you don't need people.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that we will make the push on. And then particularly, let me just say, our healthcare workers, our frontline workers, these are folks that have been on the front line, jeopardizing their life. I tell folks every time, when you walk into a building, sometimes you take for granted, and some, not until now though, they don't. You walk into that building and that building's clean, right? And you just don't think anything of it. But now you think something of it because it could affect your life. And so now folks are starting to say, oh, these, folks that work those jobs are really important. They've been important.
Thank you.
The guy that's sweeping the floor at 4 is just as important as the CEO, because it can't go around. So I'm going to work to fight for those folks. I am a proud UAW member and a former Teamster, so I've always been with labor and on the side of labor, and I'm going to continue to do that, even as we push to repeal right to work. You see the governor the other day turned around the clock on prevailing wages, so I'm glad, I
saw that. I was like, yes.
I encourage folks. I got a speech. If you YouTube, Google me or whatever, one of the strongest speeches I gave on the House floor is when I was hammering the Republicans when they, turned around, repealed prevailing wage. And I was glad to see that. But it's just a step.
It's a step.
We got a long way to go, and we got to keep pushing.
All right, so I got one more question. We're going to get to these questions in our chat. You were already in the state. Why city council?
So I'm not in the state anymore. I currently work for the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So I left and ran for Senate in 2018, came up a bit short. Shortly thereafter, started working for MISTA. And so I've been a community liaison close to 2 years now for MISTA. And I looked, at the race. We were hearing that we may be without a city council person here in the district. And to be frank with you, I never really thought about city council because on the trajectory on the state level, you tend to try to go higher. But, they say you want to hear God laugh and tell him your plans, right? So we, all of this developing, and I got some calls, and they said, from community leaders, like, you should run for city council. I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, no, you should really run. And I'm like, okay, I'll consider it. And that happened for, over the course of a week. And then I was like, I called a couple folks, labor unions, supporters, asked them what they thought. And I said, well, I'm going to pray on it. And then I woke up the next morning and went and pulled petitions, and here we are. So, I say that to say I've always had, a passion to serve the community. That is where my heart is. I tell folks that. And so it doesn't matter if it's on a city level, it's on a state level, on a federal level. When you have the ability to serve folks and there's an opportunity to do that, particularly for me, I step up and do it. And so, that's not a knock at anybody who was running for the seat. But I just think that, based on my proven track record and the times that we're in for District 7. I mean, District 7 is one of the most forgotten districts and needs resources the most, right? I mean, this is what your Joy Rose, Evergreens, Plymouth, Warrens, right? Livernois, Davidson, Dexter. We've got to have somebody who can bring the resources there and ensure that we improve the life of the residents. And I believe my track record allows me to do that.
All right.
Before we get to the questions, this was the question I was supposed to ask you.
Wait, hold on. You're watching Wjzz Cool TV live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Like, follow, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching Wjzz Cool TV. Go ahead.
Coolest station in the world.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this was the ultimate question. I did not bring the flyer, but this is what has been buzzing in the community when we people that have history in our community about your name. What number, Fred Durrell, are you?
I'm Fred Durhall the third.
All right.
Yeah.
So one asked me, is it legal for you to have your signs without the third on there?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
you've run for office before. You know, when you run for office, let's say if, you know, your name was Robert, and you decided to put your name as Rob, as you wanted to appear on the ballot.
Okay.
Okay. That's something that's very legal.
Okay.
So,
All right.
not to mention, you know, folks who may have an issue with that. You know, like I said, it would be one thing if I don't put my name on my literature, if I didn't have a social media page, if I didn't have commercials.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
So, if it was
yeah.
legitimate, I had to ask because multiple
Yeah.
people asked me, wait a minute, is his father? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know about your father,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually thinking about.
Yeah,
I was just
people
going to ask him that
Yeah,
question. and you
somebody
took
was
it
like,
right
is
out
his
of my brain.
father
So,
running?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when we were having an event and we were looking at the signs,
Yeah.
someone was like, so I had to bring it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
go
there's
ahead.
always a question that's
Yeah.
always posed.
Absolutely. And
all
I
the
was not
time.
sure
Yeah.
about
no,
that.
no.
With the
and-
Durhall name coming up, like, well, which
Yeah.
one is the run? Is the son or is the father?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So we wanted to clear that air up right there, ladies
no,
and
and
gentlemen.
shout out to Dad. You know, I don't want to say he retired because I don't want him to feel a certain type of way. But you know, I think you know it's important to know that this also is a requirement of citizens. You know, I used to tell folks, you know, one of the things that we ensured that we did when we were a state representative, we tried to be everywhere that we possibly could be, right? But if you see Durhall, the line on the sign, it kind of looks kind of funny. That's one. And then number two, my last name is Durhall. My name is Fred Durhall. And so we make no secret of that.
Yeah.
And
But
we,
you know, just for the transparent and clarity
Yeah,
of
oh,
the
no, no, no.
residents,
Yeah.
that was. But I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure because someone asked me that too, and I'm like, well, let me ask him. I know he had to check that out because
well, that's just
at the
that's
very
what
point
happens,
of
yeah.
like we saying your ID,
Yeah.
and then once you get certified, and
Yeah.
being the same name. So
Yeah,
'cause I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Reggie Reg had an issue
Yeah.
with that also.
Yeah.
So right.
Well, but that, I mean, I think that's just a bit different. Like, you know, saying no, and this no, shout out to Reggie Reg, who's my guy. Reggie Reg is my guy. I'm letting y'all know that. But that's a little bit different by saying that, you know, my name's Fred Durhall, as opposed to, you know, saying, you know, a moniker,
Gotcha.
so
Yeah.
to speak.
Gotcha.
My name, you know, obviously is Frederick, but you know, I go by Fred. Everybody knows me as Fred, and that's, you know, we just keep it consistent like that.
Okay, no
and
problem. We
that's
had
how
just
it's
had
done.
to clear the air. All right,
Yeah.
we got a whole bunch of questions on the Facebook
I
chat.
just want to
Go
say
ahead.
my name is Andre and I go by Dre. So yeah, like what he just said. Whatever.
And he told me to quit calling him out.
See,
Go
getting
ahead.
spiffy.
Spiffy.
What you trying?
All
Okay,
right, go ahead.
so first question.
Mhm.
How do you plan on bridging the gap, the communication gap for community members in District 7? Seniors that do not speak English as a first language are unaware of many things happening or offered to our city and specific to our district.
You know, having the chance to represent part of Southwest Detroit when I was in the state house, I understand the importance of having somebody who is able to speak that language, you know, speak bilingual or be bilingual. So, you know, I certainly want to have somebody on my staff who is bilingual. But District 7 is really diverse, so they're going to have
Yeah.
to speak a number of
I was
languages.
just about to say you might have to do
yeah.
a actual
Or-
poll
Yeah.
because we, you know, well, you know, like you say, don't know what it looks like in general, but
Yeah, right, and I'm not putting the cart before the horse,
Yeah.
but how do I plan to address the gap? Obviously, you know, one of the things that I really fought for when we were in the state legislature, I used to send out my you know, like your state rep pamphlets and letting people know what's going on in Lansing. And I used to send out 2 copies. One, I sent out, you know, one that was bilingual, and the other one was obviously just plain English. And Republicans stopped us from doing that. They didn't let us do that anymore. That's a lot of people don't know that. And we were fighting tooth and nail, you know, and saying that, you know, that's unfair because if folks do have that language barrier, they won't know what we're
Right,
doing
right.
in Lansing and what
Right.
affects them. So I believe, you know, going to folks, you know, that communication is important, you know, putting out literature and putting out, you know, pamphlets and updates of what we're doing at the city council and, you know, that's multicultural and, you know, crosses different languages is going to be important. That's something that we're going to look to do as
I
well.
do want to say something to the Facebook comments. Hey man, if you're in District 7, your question's going last. I ain't being rude or nothing, but this is for them.
So ask Sarah. Is Sarah Cow?
No,
Oh.
I love you, Sarah, but not right now. Hold on.
How about TJ?
Love you too, Auntie TJ, but hold on. Go ahead.
Well, it's
gonna keep
It's
going
a real
with.
question. I'm gonna ask Auntie TJ question. How
Okay.
will you ensure that the needs of the assessment of District 7 are being met? The needs of the assessment. So I'm assuming like the property assessments. Maybe that's what she's talking about.
She's probably talking about the overassessment, $600 million,
Yeah, maybe
which
that's
our
what she's talking
citizens were overtaxed. You know, that is going to be one of my first things that I want to tackle.
Because you know
when I get
D7
down
was
there.
one of the most impacted
I
districts, right?
I know it. I know it. I mean, you can look at the number of foreclosures.
Yeah.
And so.
And I don't even live in the district, but I
Yeah.
did the research and saw
Yeah.
that, like, wow, this district catching hell.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, one of the first steps obviously is to take inventory and find out, you know, who has been overassessed, which is a majority of Detroiters. You know, they come up with a specific number. I don't know if that number is right. I haven't seen those books, and I can't wait to get down there and say, and you know, require some of that information so I can take a look at it and we can audit it. But I think it's also important to develop a solution after that, and I think it's got to be twofold. One, we need a fund that will reimburse folks who have been overassessed, and this is not something that's saying like, you know, let's give them $2,000, then we're done. No, it's not that. That is not the solution. You know, and I learned this from when we were in the State House. When people were wrongly accused of fraud from the Unemployment Insurance Agency, I worked to help create that reimbursement fund for the, you know, thousands of Michiganders who were wrongly accused of fraud. And the Republicans didn't put a lot of money back into it. We were at least able to get some in there. But that's the type of fund that's going to be, has to be established in the city of Detroit. Listen, citizens were wrong. You know, they were wronged. And it through no fault of their own. And so it is our job as a government to be able to put that money back into their pockets. Some folks have lost their homes and will never really be able to be made whole. Because you lose your home, you might lose your wife, you might lose your family, you might, you know, you don't
Lose your
all
mother
of
down
this
the
thing. You
fact.
lose your mind, right?
Right.
And so we create this fund, but we've got to find a mechanism to create this fund. As an appropriator being over the budget, I always think in new ways. You know, one is when we talk about land bank properties. This helps solve an issue with the land bank. If we sell a land bank property, we should take a percentage of those dollars and put this into a fund, right? That fund will help and assist pay folks back who have been overassessed. Now, if you have been foreclosed on your house and lost your home to foreclosure due to the overassessment, this is something else we can do too. Let those folks qualify for a land bank home. That gives them a place to live, but also helps populate neighborhoods because you know, like I know, particularly in D7, we got land bank homes that are just sitting there. So we got to get these folks into these homes, fill these communities. We can generate revenue into this and pay those folks back. And so that's one of the steps to make folks whole. And then just work with a lot of our local groups. You know, there are a lot of local groups out there who want to tackle this issue. And I'm willing to work with anyone who has some comprehensive solutions to make sure that we can solve this because that is one of the most devastating things that has happened to the citizens. It's really not being talked about, but it needs to be.
Really, for sure, for
So
sure.
I do have another question. It was actually a question I was gonna ask. I mean, we can see the difference, but what's going to make you different from the previous councilman that was in that position?
I think just, you know, I'm cut different. You know, I'm being honest, you know, and that's no slight at anybody. You know, I tell folks in this campaign, you know, we have never once talked about Gabe Leland. And one of the reasons why is I as a person, I don't go judging other people. And I don't run based off of what somebody else has done. I run based off of what I'm going to do. And so regardless, you know, what can we expect? We're going to move the district forward. What will be different? There will be a stronger response. You know, I live 2 blocks away from Dexter. Okay, so I hear the gunshots. They speeding up and down my street 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. Okay, you know, I'm in that community. I grew up there. I'm still there. So I understand those needs. And not only that, you know, I think that, you know, I just have a different type of feel of leadership that has been established. You know, I've had the opportunity, obviously, to sit over the budget. Our prior councilman did not sit over the budget, per se, in Lansing, and I've had those opportunities. But I think that will help us, you know, push forward. And then just building relationships. You know, I'm the type of guy to really know me, and Roz could attest to this. When I knock doors, right? And that's not going to stop. You know, that's going to continue even when we get there. But I go talk to community leaders, and I say, well, what's on your mind? And if we don't get along, you know, because there were some community leaders I didn't get along with, at first, and now we're cool because we sat down and we worked out our differences. You know, maybe I looked at something in a different way and didn't understand it their way, or vice versa, and we come to a consensus of what the best needs are for the community. I think that's going to be the difference. The response, you know, just that type of caring, and then just the experience. You know, I'm here for Detroit because being 37 years old, you know, I understand that I don't want to live in a city in the next 20 years that people that I see around me can't be a part of.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's important to me.
Very important.
Okay, public safety. What partnerships have been cultivated or built concerning domestic violence, sexual assault, and teen dating violence? Do you plan to bring more resources in our district for these issues?
That must be an Erica Murray question. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Erica
Hey,
Murray.
Erica.
Obviously, there are plans. I look forward to talking to you as the expert to push us in the direction that we want to go to. But I think, you know, the short answer is, one, developing plans in the city budget to address that. It hasn't been done, and we can create certain programs to be able to do that. But I'd also look at partnering, you know, with a lot of our groups, you know, whether that be the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries, who take in a lot of women in the Genesis House, right? Or, you know, whether it be a lot of other groups. You know, I'm endorsed by Planned Parenthood. You know, they do a lot of advocacy in regards to domestic violence at times, too. But, you know, I'm willing to work with any group, including your group, Erica, and look forward to doing so while we're there.
Okay. All right. You want to pop another question? Yeah. I was about to say, I actually feel like we would do our audience like no justice to be able to address the current conversation pertaining to the American Rescue Plan funding and how it has been directed. Yeah. Right. So
you could have.
I'm sorry. I just had to I feel like that's like the big elephant in the room, right? We got all this money, right? There were different variations of how much it was at first, and then now that you're gonna give us only 5 slots to choose from, and not allow us to request what we want to spend it on to actually be rescued. Yeah. So as a city council member, how would you? If you had the ability as you move into position, there will still be funding because the money won't be spent to the end of 2024. Absolutely. So how would you go aggressively to make sure your residents' voice will be heard about spending this money?
Well, first I think I'll make sure that my voice is going to be heard down there. In regards to my priorities, you know, obviously that the issue has kind of come and gone, you know, with those 5 priorities, but it still remains because you're right, this money still has to be spent. I will say that one of the first things we need to do, though, obviously with a significant amount of money, is address the debt that's going to be, you know, existing. We got to realize, as a budget guy, I tell folks, COVID has been hard on folks. It has been hard on cities and municipalities across this state, and Detroit is not, you know, immune to that. You know, right now we're facing $263 million deficit based on the fact that the revenues have not been there from COVID. You know, I don't know if you know about, but 18% of Detroit's revenue comes from casino tax revenue. So if they're getting hit and folks are not going to the casino, which was shut down for a while, that's obviously tax dollars that we have lost. There's other things that are happening in regards to generating tax revenue and collecting tax revenue that needs to be examined, that we'll talk about a little bit later. I'll get into that.
Because the county makes its money off of the property taxes, right?
Well,
that's how it makes. So conversation was how the resident. We ain't talking about taxes. We talking about the residents. So the pots were, I think, having a roof, having home repair, digital digital internet service. So we talking about spending it for the residents, not no budget. No, not you do me right there.
No, but I didn't, because this is what's important to understand.
Yes, but the people want to know how are they going to be rescued. It's called American Rescue Plan. Because this is my council to be right. So that's a real thing.
I'm with you, but this is one thing. You know, and one day, maybe God willing, you be state rep, okay? And when you get there and you sit and you look at that $64 billion budget, you'll realize that only $8 billion of that dollars is money that you could spend.
There we go. So that was the first question. Let us know how much available and then how we're going to use it. Go ahead.
That's what I was getting to, sis.
We want to hear nobody no debt, no budget.
No, but that because some of that money has to go into that, so you can have money to spend.
Okay.
Meaning, it's just like your household. You can't spend more money than you make. So, I say that to say most of that has to fill those gaps because remember, we got obligations that we got to meet. We're still under the Financial Review Commission. We still got a 2024 pension payment that we got to pay our police and fire folks who have sacrificed already, and they're going to be looking for their money when 2024
But
comes
isn't
out.
some of that budget funding allocated
So
for
the
them
other
also?
half, no. So for the other half, that $400 million or so odd dollars, we got to look at it closely. Obviously, it's going to have to go through the budget and this new council, which God willing, I'll be sitting on.
So we trying to see how you drive this bus.
I want when that plan came out.
Wrong time.
No, but to be honest, when that plan came out, I was thinking, I said, man, there are so many things I wish I had to say so for that, particularly neighborhood stabilization has just been one of the things that I'm pushing, particularly in D7. If you looked at D7, man, there are so many houses that sit there that can be rehabbed or need to be demolished, right? We need a commercial, we need a commercial corridor with grocery stores so people can have access to fresh food, right? Like, these are priorities of mine. Public safety is cool too, but a lot of the people in D7 say, yeah, you know what, we've been living, kind of tight and unsafe. We want more cops, we want better public safety, but we don't necessarily want it at the expense of our quality of life and being able to live. We want you to focus on the neighborhoods first, and we want you to focus on water affordability first, and we want you to focus on these issues first. So, that's where my priorities are going to be with the residents. I think you asked earlier that the question was, how different will I be, or what will I bring to the council? Just a better ear. I want to take the thoughts and the concerns of my residents down there and try to address them the best way that I can.
All right, we got time for 2 more questions, and I got one. Are you about progressive leadership, i.e. getting more younger people involved, helping them get elected, or will it be politics as usual?
So folks throw that word around progressive. I'm a Democrat, until the day I die.
Okay, I'm going to take progressive out. Are you about getting younger people involved?
That's how I got here. So I tell folks this all the time. One of the issues with the city of Detroit is that we haven't built, quote unquote, a farm system here for politics. So that means when leaders leave, there's nobody to really come and help step in because there are a lot of folks that are not prepared. I was blessed. I was blessed. I had my dad. So, untold story, before I became state rep, I didn't just throw my name in there. I was in Lansing for 4 to 5 years. I used to sit on the House floor every single day, learning the legislature, learning the state budget. And that's how I was able to rise in leadership in the state house that fast, because people were like, okay, this guy has institutional knowledge. He gets that. But so we've got to start that, though, young. We've got to start that with our folks who are graduating from college, coming and want to get involved in the political process, so they can take and have some of that institutional knowledge. Because what happens right now is like a clash. Even amongst Democrats, it's like, okay, you got Democrats, no, but I'm progressive. Yeah, I'm a Democrat, but I'm far left than you. No, listen. We all want clean, safe neighborhoods. We all want a better environment. We all want better wages and living wages for our families. We may disagree on the method, but sometimes that's because that knowledge isn't shared.
Right.
So folks may be on this level and they see folks in office and they're like, man, I don't like what he's doing, but you don't understand that he's in that person might be in that process and he's fighting 63 people across the room that doesn't care anything about the city of Detroit. And so he's got to scrap and say, you know what, maybe I will vote yes on wolf hunting so I can go ahead and save my community center, right? But we've got to share that knowledge with one another. And that is where we've been failing. So yes, I am for, a lot more younger leaders. I'm 37. I'm kind of in that purgatory state now where people above 30 still think I'm young and people above 20 think I'm old. So but we've got to embrace that, and we got to bridge that gap.
I'm just going to say bridge that gap.
Well, good. I'll be talking to you soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, but his millennial roundtable is.
No, it ain't got nothing to do with that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the other stuff.
November 5th, ladies and gentlemen. So, I got one more question I'm going to answer the comment, then we're going to have to get ready to close up shop soon. Yes. And this is from Sarah Kyle. I got to go all the way back up because I ain't want her to feel left out. Do you think, do you think red tape for new businesses and more tax collecting for current ones is the answer? Why not tax incentives for cleaner processes? Now, I don't know what we were talking about at that moment. And I probably should have went there, but it was a question that was there.
So, I mean, I don't know specifically from her question what she's talking about, but I think we do generate taxes from businesses that already exist. You know, I think there's always a maybe a misnomer and maybe sometimes true that we have, you know, corporations who are not paying taxes here in the city of Detroit. If that's true, then we need to talk to those folks because we need that tax revenue. You know, I'm coming to get it, whether it's from you or who are not. But, you know, but I also think, you know, we've got to look deeper into that. When we talk about, I guess she's talking about red tape, more bureaucracy, more government. I think what we've got to do is also build small businesses here. You know, I'm looking into entrepreneurship program plans, you know, particularly for residents here. Small businesses, what people don't know, help create jobs within the community because small business owners tend to hire folks in their locality and pay those folks, which helps stabilize neighborhoods because it puts more money into neighborhoods, okay, and then puts wages and betters the quality of life. So that helps generate a tax base as well to help offset. But my main thing when we just talk about taxes in general, let me just say this. I want to focus when we get down there to ensure that when I'm knocking these doors, people, the main thing they say is, I pay taxes every day. And look at this. They ain't came and cleaned out my sewer. They ain't swept my street. You know, they ain't pick up my boat, my trash, people dumping. You know, I want to make sure that Detroit is a city where people are proud to live in. The people that pay taxes don't have to be angry that they're sending their money to pay their taxes and not receiving services. And so that is going to be one of my main focuses as well when I'm down at the Detroit City Council.
So I'm going to say I can't wait till District 7 gets somebody because
thank you.
My work for Councilman McAllister has taken me over to District 7 recently, and I'm trying to figure out where this new gas is coming from.
Shout out to Councilman McAllister. I will tell you this. He has worked, and I've seen it. You know, he has taken part. Just people don't know he's taken part of his budget to keep folks informed of what's happened down to Detroit City Council. I had received a piece of mail from him. I'm like, Councilman McAllister, but that's a great thing that he's doing. You know, a collective effort to keep folks informed, and a lot of our other council members have been working, you know, to kind of pick up that slack. But it's nothing like, you know, having your own and say, God bless the child who has his own. So we're looking forward to November 2nd.
That's right.
Meaning y'all can't call me for speed bumps no more. Talk to one of them. With that being said, we got 4 minutes left. I know, Raj, you want to drop something hot real quick before we close out. So.
Yes. Once again, we say thank you for tuning in to Wjzz Coolest TV. Throw it out there. Yes. So tomorrow we'll be at New Vision Missionary Baptist Church from 8 to 12 p.m. Mr. Don Riley, who is the deacon at the church, they're doing a food giveaway that they have it every Saturday. And we'll also be assisting the church members with anybody that need help with their tax exemption program, which is now called the HOPE, Homeowners Property Exemption. I want to say something else. Homeowner Property Exemption. It is now called the HOPE, but it is with the former tax exemption application. So anyone needs to have any assistance, come on down and get some free food while you can. And I do believe there will be other individuals in the space to give information more about voting and getting yourself to the ballot, because we want to make sure you get your voice heard. It's not about complaining. It is about getting your voice heard and having your power exemplified and putting people in position, especially in our district, because New Vision Mission Baptist Church is located at Hubble and Joy.
You got a minute.
All right, I'll pass it over to you.
So, you know, again, I like to thank everybody for tuning in to the coolest station, as they say. But understand that November 2nd is approaching very quickly. And this is one of the most important elections that we're going to face. It's going to define what the city of Detroit is going to look like for the next 20 years. So I urge you to come out and vote for me in District 7 for Detroit City Council. But also, let's just make sure we vote and participate in general. When we don't vote, our voices are not heard. And that process is very important. So I appreciate the time tonight with you guys. And thank you for having me on the show.
Here we are. Don't pull out that big old folder.
Oh, no, we're not pulling out the folder. So, October 13th, let me pull this up again. Raise the Wage rally is going to be happening down at Grand Circus Park in Detroit. We're asking that all of our citizens in Detroit come on down and join us at this rally to help our workers. We're talking about raising the wages. We just heard our candidate talk about pushing for wages and having a better families, making better money. So come on down to the Wage Vote Rally, October the 13th. This is one of given by For Our Future Fund organization. Come on down, have a good time. Tell your story. Tell us what you want to see in this upcoming election.
All right. Again, thank you all for tuning in another Friday night. I do want to let you know we have a special edition this Tuesday. We will have some state rep candidate from some district somewhere.
Rosalind M. Ogburn,
yeah.
the next state representative for Ninth House District, or 15.
And
check it out.
We will also have, again, mayoral candidate Anthony Adams. So, with that being said, this is not the end of us. Unless something happens, just keep us in your prayers. Keep yourself in our prayers. Hope to see you Tuesday night and Friday night next week on The Quarantine on Wjzz Cool TV.
Tuesday's going to be at 6 p.m. and then we roll over to 7. So we're a 2-hour special, ladies and gentlemen. 2-hour special. So make sure you tune in for 2 hours on that Tuesday.
She stole my last few seconds, but we about to be out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one. Friday night.
Have a good Friday
Don't get
night.
in trouble. Just have fun. Don't mess nothing up. And stop damn speeding. People got to call me about speed bumps. I'm sick of y'all. All right. We out.